Hello, welcome back to another Discussions with Delinah. So today we are going to be talking about a willingness to change. If you have not seen my Discussions with Delinah from last week, I kind of touched very, very briefly on this topic, but I knew that this was something I was going to talk about this week, so let's just jump right into it. So again, in the other one I talked kind of about how sometimes we do things and we use certain vices of the world, whether that be something drastic like smoking and drinking, or something small like doom scrolling, or spending hours watching TV to escape, or binge eating. All of those little things or big things can lead you into this cycle, right? Where you don't really recognize what you're doing, don't see the harm in it, but then sometimes something clicks, or sometimes, for example, there have been times where I've really, really binged watched TV, and, sorry, my nose is like itchy, and I've noticed that it was only making me feel worse, and I couldn't really pinpoint why, because I'm like, well, TV usually brings me joy, like usually I get happy when I watch, other people's drama and other people's lives, it takes away the fact from my drama, my life, and then I realize what I'm watching, and I realize that even though it may not necessarily be bad, it has aspects of it that are not technically positive thinking, right? And it's very subtle messages that are pretty negative, and you're like, well, maybe that's why I feel sad, because my TV is telling me all these things that I probably shouldn't be thinking and feeling. So then you realize, okay, well, maybe I should break this cycle, and so you quit. But then you start to feel sad, so then you start again, and then you quit again, and then you start again, and it's this endless cycle of trying to quit but not fully being able to, because you haven't fully given it to God. And sometimes you reach a crisis point. In a devotional that I was reading, there was a story that this woman told where she started smoking when she was 9 years old. And again, she didn't even realize that it was wrong in the beginning. And when she did, she tried to quit. And like I said earlier, she would quit and start again, and then quit and start again. And then she reached that crisis point. And it got to the point where she said that she wanted to smoke so badly and so much that she started sneaking out during church to lie down in the seat of her car and smoke. And that's when she realized she had a problem and she had to make a change. And there usually comes a crisis point for a lot of us before we are actually willing to change and give that up. And this, by the way, the Discussions with Delinah is just going to be a little bit shorter, since I'm not feeling super great today, but I do still feel like it's an important topic. Anyway, like I said, there's usually a crisis point before a lot of us are willing to change. And for example, sometimes it takes a heart attack for a person to start eating right. There may be a person that is eating red meat just every day, or chicken every day, or eating junk food at McDonald's every day. And it takes those health issues to come where you're like, oh, maybe I should eat more vegetables. Like maybe I should, change my diet up a little bit. But I have good news for you. You don't have to wait for that crisis point. You don't have to wait for that breakdown point where everything feels like it's falling apart for you to make that change. You can just bite the bullet and say, that's it. I'm done with this. And the Bible says that we can choose life. Deuteronomy 30:19 says, I call heaven and earth to witness against you today, that I have set before you life and death, blessing and curse. Therefore, choose life, that you and your offspring may live. God has provided you with that support and that ability to change, but you have to be willing to do so. Otherwise, that crisis point hits you hard and it hits you fast. And I don't know if I can truly pinpoint a crisis point moment for myself, but again, I have gotten to maybe like a mid crisis point moment, I would say, because I don't think I've gotten to like a crisis point, but actually, I lied. Most of them I would say is mid-crisis point, where again, I'm watching TV and I'm starting to feel sad and I don't really know why, and then I realize why. I would say as close to a crisis point as possible, about a year and a half ago, so September of 2024, I went to Disney with my husband, and, it was a normal park day. We had done Disney before a couple of times. We had went for his birthday. And we got back to the hotel, and we're just watching TV, and I was in excruciating pain. It is a pain I've never felt before in my life. It is something that I look back to it, and it literally felt like everything in me was screaming. And I thought, in the moment, I'm like, oh, maybe I just pulled a muscle. Maybe I just hurt myself. It was a really, really bad pain in my hip, and my upper thigh. And I was like, I've never felt this before. And don't get me wrong, I'm not pain tolerant. I'm not. And now I would say I am. Back then, now I would say I'm more pain tolerant. But back then, I was not pain tolerant, not even a little bit. Like, fingerprints at the doctor hurt me. So I knew I wasn't pain tolerant. So I didn't think it was that bad. I just thought I was, again, not pain tolerant. So the pain was more for me than it would be for someone else. But I have felt a lot of pain in my life, physically. Like, I've gone through, I've gotten x-rays done in the past. I used to have an issue with my foot if I was standing or walking for long periods in, like, the wrong shoes. So I've dealt with pain. But this was unlike a pain that I've ever felt. And I don't know if I've ever told this story. And I wasn't planning on telling it today, but I guess here we are. So I thought it was really bad. I'm not the type of person to go to the hospital for, like, anything unless I'm, like, dying. So I ignored it, put, I think, a cold water bottle on it because that's all we had in the hotel room. And the next day we were checking out, so I was like, you know what, like, maybe I just pulled something, whatever. The next day we check out, go home. Still kind of hurts, but so much better than it was the night before. Went to work as normal. I was working, I think, 7 days a week. Or no, I was working 6 days a week back then. So I just went on with my life. And the pain would resurface every now and again. And it got to a point where I was working one day, and I think this might have been October, November, maybe November, the beginning of November, 2024. And I was at work, and the pain had gotten so bad that I was like, I need to go to urgent care. And I went. Most useless visit ever, though. Can't even lie. I'm not even going to lie to you guys. But they had told me what I had suspected, what everyone around me was saying. I had sciatica. If you've never experienced sciatica, I love that for you, because it is, I have experienced a lot of pain in my life, and there is nothing like sciatica. Like, sciatic pain is honestly, truly, like, one of the hardest pains I've gone through. Like, I've gone through other pains, and then maybe they, like, kind of meet, but it's pretty bad, especially if you've never experienced it before, and especially being really young, where it just kind of happened out of nowhere. It was bad. They gave me, I don't know, some muscle relaxants or something that kind of helped for, like, a day. But I had to work, so I continued working. And I will say I slowly started feeling my body shut down. I was now not only having sciatic pain, I was having pain in between my shoulder blades. I was having spinal pain. I was having inflammation in my legs and my feet. Sometimes in my hands, I was struggling to open and close them. I would have very sharp radiating pains in my legs, sometimes in my arms. I had went to the doctor and tried to schedule appointments around my shifts, and everything was coming back normal. And I did blood work, everything was normal. It's been 2 years, or a year and a half. It's now 2026. I still don't know what happened. I still don't know if the sciatica caused everything else. I don't know if there's something else. But I will say that in April of last year, I had reached a point in my body where I was like, I can't keep working. It was too much stress on my body. Mind you, ironically, around the time I had gotten the sciatica pain in 2024, I was actually in a production set to release in October. And so I was in rehearsals. Like, I was waking up at 8 in the morning, going to work, and then going straight to rehearsals until 10 o'clock at night for 3 months, all while experiencing this pain. And it was a lot. Sorry, I'm hearing a lot of noises. And it was a lot. And it was toward April was our wedding, our big wedding, because we got married in 2024, but we had our large wedding in 2025 in April. And as we got closer to the wedding, I realized I was like, I can't keep doing this. So I had taken a break, and I quit my job. And luckily, I left on good terms, and I did have great bosses, and they completely understood. They saw the pain that I was going through at work, and so they were very understanding. But I definitely think that was a crisis point for me, because I didn't realize how much I actually was overworking myself, because I've done it my whole life. It was something I was very good at. When I was in middle school, I was in 4 clubs. When I was in high school, I was in 10 clubs, and I was president, I think, of 3 of them. In college, I had 3 jobs at one point at the same time, and I don't think I think only like in the beginning of my college journey did I only have 1 job. But I always had 2 or more jobs at a point in time. And yes, they weren't full-time jobs, but they felt like full-time jobs. And I was always a full-time student taking 5 to 6 classes every semester for those 4 years. So I was so used to that go, go, go and that fast-paced life that I didn't think anything of it. And then that pain happened, and it really made me realize, like, I am going to work myself into the ground if I keep up like this. And so I say that not to discourage you in the sense of, yes, I still haven't figured out what is going on physically, but I say it instead to encourage you that even though I don't know what is going on physically, and even though I'm not in a physical building and office, I am still working. I am a wedding planner. I own a small business making party favors and crafts. I'm a UGC content creator that I feel like I can effectively say, because I have made so many videos at this point and have made a lot of money from them. It's a helicopter. I work for a princess party company. Like, I'm still doing multiple jobs at once, but I'm not suffering the waking up at 9, working 9 to 5, physically having that toll take on my body. And now I actually can rest. And the pain has exponentially gotten better since I was working full time, but I still have pain. I will say I notice it when I am at Disney, for example. You guys see me go to Disney a lot. After a Disney park day, usually it takes me at least 2 to 3 days to kind of recover. And if I'm like doing a princess party, sometimes it'll take me a day or 2. But again, that was my crisis point of having to be in excruciating pain to be like, you know what, I need to slow down. And I often wonder, what would my life look like if I hadn't let it get to that point? If I would have just known my limits, listened to my body when I had the small aches and pains, or when I was slightly tired and I was like, you know what, let me take a break, let me take a pause. Maybe that wouldn't have happened. Or I think too, that Disney trip, we like speed walked to Tiana's Bayou to meet our like lightning cue lane. What if I would have told myself, it's not that serious? If we miss it, we miss it. Let's just walk there normally. My life might be completely different now. But I do think that God has used the physical pain that I have gone through in the past few years to strengthen me spiritually big time, because I was not in a good place when all of that happened, and it only progressively got worse when I couldn't rest, and the pain was only getting worse every single day, and I was coming home crying every night because of how much pain I was in. And God allowed, and is allowing me, because it's still currently, going on. I'm still, again, in pain, but I'm at least home, and He's allowed me to have this time to be able to reflect on why certain things happen, and utilizing what He's given to me, and allowed me to try to speak life into my life. And yes, I still got to figure out what's going on, and yes, I'm still gonna go to doctors and whatever, but I trust that whatever God's plan is going to come to pass. Whenever God wants to heal me, it's going to happen. I have no doubt about that. Like, I am truly at peace with that now. However, I couldn't say that 2 years ago. 2 years ago, I was just angry. I was like, why am I feeling this way? And don't get me wrong, I still have those moments, and I still get angry where, I'm like, I'm 24, 23? I'm 23. Like, why am I feeling this pain, And I have people around me who they're like, yeah, get used to it. And, like, they're also in pain. So they try to relate, but it's different. It's different when you don't know why you feel the way you feel. Like most people around me, it was either, age or career, like the career work that they do, it makes sense that they have the aches and pains that they do. But for someone who was working at a bookstore, and someone who wasn't doing much physical, strenuous, like my mom was a nurse. I completely understand why she has the aches and pains she does. Like she used to lift up full patients, children and adults. So I understand why she has back pain, like it makes sense. But when you don't know why you're experiencing what you're experiencing, it gets frustrating. And I've definitely just learned to trust God. And, I don't want anyone else to get to that point where they have to have that crisis point when they can do everything they can now before that happens to make a change in their life. God has provided you with the support and the ability to change, but you have to be willing to. Otherwise, that crisis point will hit you, like I said, hard and fast and out of nowhere. And it's so much easier to choose life before you reach that point. John 10:10 says, the thief comes only to steal and kill and destroy. I came that they may have life and have it abundantly. Don't be afraid to be a little uncomfortable for a while. You can finally achieve freedom from your vices. And it may not be easy, but you don't have to do it alone. You have God by your side. And if you think you're not ready to change, if you don't know how to change, take it to God. Say, help me, help me break this pattern. Help me break this vice, help me make a change in my life. And I'm telling you that with the help of God and the decision on your part to choose life, you can truly, permanently change your life for the better. So I'm going to leave off on Proverbs 16:24, where it says, gracious words are like honeycombs, sweetness to the soul, and health to the body. I hope you all have a blessed Sunday and a blessed week.